Welcome to our dialogue circle. And before we begin, I'd like to ask Mr. Mike Two Bears if he would be so kind as to say a little opening prayer for us today. Thank you.
Oh, Creator, great Spirit, great mystery. I'm grateful for all the people being here. I'm grateful for Glenn, for what he's done with this book. It's a beautiful thing. Grateful for this process. So thank you, Creator. Help. What I'd like everybody to do is take a pinch of tobacco and then think of what prayer you want to put in. And then after you've done that, lower your breath into there, circle it around for all directions, and then put it in here. So we'll have all of our prayers. I think it's so important that we all pray together, not just someone representing us.
Beautiful.
Oh, grandmothers, Creator, thank you for having me have a deeper sense of my connection with community today. Oh, Takiyosa.
Thank you, everyone. And as you may have noticed, as we began to say our prayers, we just had our first rain in weeks. Today we are blessed to have the talking stick that can allow us to tap into some energies that have been used in ceremonies before. I'm going to say a few words about dialogue and about the process we're going to undertake. The kind of dialogue we're going to be doing is a hybrid. It's taught to me through Leroy Little Bear, and we're also doing a hybrid of David Bohm's method of talking circle dialogue. Now, there are some differences, but the things that are important are the same. There's no agenda, there's no expectation of a result. We're not expecting the group to form committees and make action items and go forth in that way. This is not that kind of a meeting. What we are doing is some deep listening to spirit. So in most of conversation, listening is half murdered, because we're thinking about what we're going to say while the other person is speaking. But in dialogue, we are encouraged to not do that. And no worries when the talking stick comes to you. In dialogue, silence is golden. You'll have all the time you want to collect your thoughts. Now, dialogue, the actual etymology of the word, comes from the Greek, dialogos, and dia does not mean to, dia means through. And the log is from logos, and that represents the word. It's often translated as, but for our purposes, it's the living word. So dialogue is about the flow of meaning that comes in. We have an opening to the east, and that's for the purpose. We have a very large opening today, but that's for the purpose of allowing in spirit. And if you have a big enough dialogue group where you have maybe 30 people, and you don't have room to make one circle, you can make concentric circles. But again, you should leave an opening to the east so that spirit can come in. The most important thing is letting go of your tacit infrastructure. That's the word David Bohm used. And another word is from Carlos Castaneda, your controlled folly. So what biases, preconceptions, assumptions that we carry with us, our role in life, all of that, we want to encourage you to set that aside. Again, no worries. You can pick it up and take it with you when you leave, if you choose. The beautiful thing about deep listening is you listen for the purpose of being understood, and that may give you reason to change what you were thinking previously. We don't know. That's not really the object. You just listen to try to understand. So dialogue is not a debate. We're not responding to another person. We're trying to prove our point of view. When it's your time to speak, you allow what needs to come through to come through. It's not necessarily a response to what was said before. We will probably observe a flow of meaning, and that's natural. That's very natural. But you also may observe, when you're listening, somebody else is going to open their mouth and they're going to say exactly what's floating through your head. That's when you know we're cooking. That's when you know dialogue is working. Now, in this process, in the hybrid of Boehm's dialogue and native talking circle, one of the differences is in Boehm's dialogue, there generally is not a kickstart question that is asked. But in our dialogue today, I will throw out a kickstart question, which literally can kickstart the dialogue. And then at an interim, at some place, I may add another question into the soup. When I do that, you can continue answering the first question, if you wish, while also answering the second question. They're not intended, one is not intended to make the other obsolete. It's building. Dialogue is like building a mountain of ideas, actually. And if you dialogue long enough, everybody knows there's many ways to, walk up the mountain. Even here, Sandia Mountain. There's many ways to walk up the mountain. But when we get to the top, we all share the same view. Some of you have sat in dialogue circles that bring together indigenous wisdom and leading-edge Western science. We all know that there's many ways of knowing. But the kickstart question I want to ask to this group is, what does it mean to know something? And we are going to go sunwise. I always say sunwise. I don't really think clocks are wise. Maybe some grandfather clocks.
Wow. This is amazing to hold this. What would Spirit want me to say about what it means to know something? What's coming to me is something like, I have an image of a mother holding a baby, and it's like to tenderly attend to a thought or an idea or a perception, and to hold it very gently, not possessively and not with fierceness in the sense of perhaps protecting it if it's a very new thing, but not in an aggressive way, in a way that allows it to grow and evolve and doesn't fix it in place or time. I think that's what I would say at this moment.
Thank you.
Today, what comes to me with this question is to be visited by something that wants to be known. It becomes knowable in that receiving and visitation process. So that's my opening thought.
I feel like there's a circle of knowing that is present. So it's not something that I hold myself, but it's a resonance through which I begin to understand, or I'm seeking to understand. I'm seeking to make that connection.
Good thoughts. What does it mean to know something?
Just looking at this beautiful talking stick and thinking about what it means to know it and to study it and to see its beauty. So when I think about knowing, the word love comes to my mind as something closely related to knowing. If you love something, you're probably going to want to know it. I like knowing.
Thank you.
Knowing, holding. What came to me is that in my mystical tradition, this is the 10th day of counting the Omer. And it is a day associated with Tiferet, the heart, and the knowledge of the heart, embedded within a structure, a set of knowledge, a strength, which is Gibura. And I think it's remarkable that that happens to be the pairing of attributes associated with today. And what could be a better symbol of it than this, which is both structured and speaks from the heart. And I think knowledge is that. It speaks to the heart. That's what it is to know. But it's within a structure. It's not loose and unfitting.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for those thoughts.
have you read the book? My mate, Bearhart, this was his staff after Wilma Mankiller, and he had a great sense of humor, so I'd like to share with you what the eagle is saying from Bearhart's perspective, which is, he would say that you can read a book, but that's about somebody else's experience. You have to experience it yourself to know it. I think what just came to me is that I'm a living organism, and I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know, but only and in the moment. Nothing that sticks with super glue. I'll tell you what I know that I know. I know that I love my granddaughter. I know that I love my family. And I know that this world had better get focused. I think I better end it there. I hope that is.
No,
Oh, good thoughts. Thank you.
I've seen a lot of dialogue questions, and this is one I haven't seen, so I really appreciate you bringing us something that maybe it's been around before, but I appreciate it. What does it mean to know something? I go into the negative, to know, N-O, as a boundary. And I've been talking to my ex-girlfriend about loving boundaries. And we can know something. We can still be very loving in how we deal with knowing. And her granddaughter tried to commit suicide at 15 a month ago. So we've been talking about what all that means. So there's that knowing. The one that I most resonate with is gnosis. Gnosis, direct knowing. Because to me, people that know me know that I have a failure of words concerned. Mostly it's about what we do. It's about having our word be our bond, and about what is it that's important to us and how we do it. It's also about intuition. and how we don't necessarily use the rational. When I was in the corporate world, I had a boss that was very astute. He said, Mike, you have a different way of knowing. And that's kind of strange for an engineering company to say something like that. The other direction I went was, that's knowing. I'm a student of Adyashanti, and he asked the question, where's your seat? Because you have to have your seat. It's all relative to things. So when you know where you are, then you can relate to things differently. It's in reference.
Mhm. Thank you for the good thoughts on that round. Thank you for bringing in intuition. Something very important in academia is intuition. You always want to get that tuition in. More and more. I'm going to throw out another question into the soup now, and we can continue to answer the first question, if you'd like. What does it mean to know something? But now, I'm going to add just another layer, perhaps, and that next question is, what does it mean to remember something? And we're going to go around in a circle one more time.
Putting things back together again. That needs love is the clue. They know everything that's out there, and they can teach us if we allow ourselves to be taught.
Remember, you can answer the question, the first question, what does it mean to know something? Or what does it mean to remember something?
It gets pretty personal because I grew up in my aloneness of growing up. I was accompanied by a sense of knowing. And I had a narrative going with myself about when I had surety and I knew. It was a full connectedness between me and the great everything that is. So that just occurred to me, not in the first time I spoke, but in the last few minutes of both listening and being here, was a revisiting of my identity around knowing, which is very powerful. And the thing that also wants to be said now is, when I really know something, I want to sing. Vocalizing and sound is an expression of when knowing comes all the way full circle through me and connects with the joy to express, the choice to express. So be.
I think there was something you said when you said personal, and took me to remembering when I was, how I became, I think, the person I am, where I spent a lot of time in nature. And when I think about remembering, I go to that place.
Thank you.
I like that. Feeling my seat. Seems there's a powerful connection between knowing and remembering. Your comment about nature, it brought to mind a familial experience when I was a little boy growing up in Wisconsin. And I was too little to see out of the kitchen window where in the springtime a nest of robins always nested in a grape arbor outside of our kitchen window. So my mother would lift me up on the kitchen sink and show me the nest, teach me about the mother robin sitting on the eggs and how it was important not to disturb them and to watch them respectfully. But when I hear robins to this day, the remembering of the robin and that whole experience when I was a little boy is like it was yesterday. It's just as fresh in my mind. It's a connection to nature that started when I was, 4, 5, 6 years old, and stuck powerfully forever. And it became an important part of my seat, that nature connection forever. I spent quite a few years in corporate America working on healthcare reform, and I'm struck with our cultural amnesia and how we fail to remember, how we fail to learn from experiences that we keep having to have over and over and over again, and as if they're the first time. Remembering is vital to our learning and vital to our society and our culture and our being as human beings. And if we can't remember, we can't know. So the bond between the two is inseparable in my mind.
Thank you all for all the things you've already said. Remember, I keep thinking of member of a group. I keep thinking of member, my arms, my legs, the parts of myself. I keep thinking of remembering because I've had a number of experiences of remembering, sometimes things within a short part of this lifetime, sometimes things that go way back into childhood, sometimes, yes dear, remembering things that were perhaps before this lifetime. Do I know that I have remembered? I think I do. That's a different kind of knowledge. Can I prove that I have remembered? Do I have to remember? If only we could all remember, what a different world it would be. Would I love to dedicate the rest of my life to helping myself and others remember?
At the beginning of this circle, we talked about that somebody would say something that you're thinking about, and that's already happened 3 times to me. When I first came to New Mexico in '83, some things had happened, and I went to see a Jungian analyst, and my very first dream, I was on a wheel with my, like Leonardo da Vinci, arms and legs spread out, and I was going around the wheel, and I was being demembered. It was so scary, I never went back. And that was my field. I was already studying Jungian psychology in California. So I had been demembered the minute I got here. And listening to everybody in this circle, I have remembered being remembered over these years. And I'm very fortunate to have a seat to come from about it. And I'm very grateful for that. Oh, I got this.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful thoughts. I'm going to add one more question into the soup, and we're going to end the dialogue going counter-sunwise, or as some say, counterclockwise. And We began by speaking about what does it mean to know something. And we added in what does it mean to remember something. And as it came around the circle, one of the things that was mentioned was feeling of being a member of something. So that's the last question that I want to add to the soup. And remember, you can continue to answer the first question and the second question and the third question if you're ready to. And that is, what does it mean to be a member of something?
So if we're going in this direction, I've got to speak backwards.
That's
I could do that.
Yeah, you can do that. And I want to go back to remember, because it started out with the concept of the word, but the more I stayed with it, memories started flooding in. That's what was important. I met Bearhart Regina in '95, did a vision quest in 2004 with Bearhart Regina, and on my vision quest, I was given the name of Evil Eye. So do we look similar? Are we met?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So remembering is the emotion associated with those things. Bearhart and Joseph Rael, Beautiful Painted Arrow, did a dialogue on vibration. We talked about vibration. And I raised my hand, what does this mean on being in vibration? And I remember Bearhart one time, I don't know if it was then or some other time, but he said, I could talk 5 hours on vibration. So vibration, it's all this stuff about this energy. And this energy comes up as remembering. And it takes us back to that time of whatever it was. And there's the emotions. I mean, that, you're present to your emotions right here, which is very important. It's not just sticking up here. And I think that's about remembering when it comes again in our body and we can be present to all of ourselves.
Oh. I am a member of this human race. What a race. And what does it mean to be a member? In a way, for me, it means to also be the whole. If I consider myself part of a movement, I don't feel like I have to go march right now and be on television for all the things that are going on with the police department and the race issue. But I definitely am a member of the heart. My great-grandmother Bella said, a heart knows a heart. And many people have asked me, you can tell by their question that they want me to take a side, Are you for the African Americans who are getting shot, or are you for the police who are feeling vulnerable and, and shoot too fast? And it's like, I'm for both of them. I don't really see them as separate, I'm for being a member of the human race. I'm for being a member of a society that cares about becoming more aware and less judgmental. Discerning, but less judgmental.
I was born about 10,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world that I don't know. I saw Peter, Paul, and Moses playing ring around the roses, and I'll whoop the guy that says it isn't so. I just had to sing it. I just had to sing it.
Good. That was really nice. was resonating while you were doing that, and what Doug was saying about music, and it's such a critical part of life and my life. And I could not live without it. Any kind of music. Being a member, though, is it's a really fascinating concept because it can be inclusionary or exclusionary. I've seen and experienced both. I really like what you're saying, Regina, about the human race and being a member of the universe. The more inclusionary I can think of my own membership, the better I feel about being a member. Membership connotes some responsibility of bringing all of your stuff to that membership. To me, that's what being a member means. So, thanks.
So when I think of member, being a member, I think of belonging. And what does it mean to belong? How do we create the space for all members to belong? What are my responsibilities as a member to support the whole and the belonging of the whole and all of its members? How do I show up as a member in support of that? I use the term of being in care. And what does it mean to be in care? And I think of that in relationship to being a member. That goes back to your first comment about baby, because I think when I think of being in care, I think of it in much of a way of really holding that life. And we can do that as being a member, in whatever context you think of it, whether it's the human race, whether it's a group. I like to think that membership is not about privilege, but compassion, about creating that space for all life to thrive and for all life to be connected.
So much of what just came around the circle has been in the beauty way. I want to start by acknowledging to you all the extent to which the questions and the dialogue have brought forth my aliveness. Because I reflect on my lifelong story of choosing, joining, or creating an endless string of opportunities to be a member of something, and many to be a part of, to belong to, and to be with others. And the other thing I got as this question has been up is being a member is an opportunity to contribute, to be responsible, to care, and to express all of what's in me.
I'm struck by how much emotion arises in me around the question of being a member, because I think it's been actually a bit of a personal journey to discover where I might belong. And I noticed the word belonging has longing in it. I think that, circling back again to some things that were said earlier, finding belonging with the kindred spirits in nature was where I turned as a child also, and found something there that was speaking to me and accepting me as I was and completely as I was. At the same time, I've had this very strong drive to encourage other people and probably myself to show up completely and to create organizations and environments and systems that would be inclusive, truly inclusive, that would allow everything in, the dark, the light, you know, the ugly, the uncomfortable, because only we're in a walk back to wholeness, and only by embracing more of the wholeness can we heal. That's where we need to go. So being a member is very important, I think. Feeling a member of the human race is very important right now, with all the responsibilities that come with that, to show up completely and speak truth to power, particularly.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for beautiful dialogue. As the moderator, I get to be filled up. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. I asked these particular questions in part because we're doing a film session for Circle for Original Thinking members. Those members probably will come into membership through first reading a book, but then wanting to know, like Regina was pointing out very, very adeptly, you know, how is this experience going to really come into the solar plexus of our lives? How are they going to really know something? So there are very many ways to know things, as we all know. And that's one of the important aspects of the Circle for Original Thinking work, is that we are seeking to do a reclamation project. And original thinking is not just a mental aspect, cognition, but it does include our gut instincts, our emotions, our heartfelt yearnings, our intuitions, and it does ultimately include that sense of longing, that sense of returning to the source, because life is that kind of circle. And we've done a beautiful circle here, and maybe you can feel like part of what we're doing is seeking how to return to the source and how to open ourselves up so that knowledge can flow through us. And dialogue is a beautiful example of that, because it allows us to open to that. And thank you so much. It's been very beautiful. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn, for helping us to remember and belong.
That's right.